episode 101 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 31st of January. Where did January go? I don't know. So I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last week, and I hope you've all had lots of craft time as well. So today I'm going to share some knitting, some sewing, a gadget, a blast from the past, some confessions, and some information on my shop update, which is this evening at 7 PM, and I'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. So you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry and Facebook as Craft House Magic, and I have my own website, crafthousemagik.co.uk, where you can find show notes for the podcast, but also my online shop, which I sell all sort of knitting related things, hand-dyed yarn, project bags, stitch markers and knitting needles now. So you can basically get all knitting related things from there. So we have two make-alongs going on at the moment. The Retro Mal, which is making anything retro, any technique, so it could be woodwork if you want it to be, and that's going on in the Ravelry group. But we've also got the Right Around the Corner shawl make-along, which is both in the Ravelry group and also on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, you can use the hashtag Right Around the Corner shawl, CHMKAL, and that will make it so everyone can see how you've got on with your shawl. But if you search that hashtag, you'll be able to see what everybody else is doing. So there we go. I will be drawing some prizes from there, both from Instagram and on Ravelry, so you can enter on both if you like. So there we go, that's the make-alongs that we've got going. I have a prize to draw because last week, I was going to say month, so last week was the 100th episode, so I decided to do a giveaway. So I had used the random comment picker, which is a website I'll put on the screen now so that you can see me picking a winner, and the winner is April Colosimo. I'm rubbish at pronouncing things, and she'd put, "Congratulations Ellie, I'm loving my cauldron bag, it's really magical." So that was lovely. So congratulations April. If you send me a personal message, either on Instagram or an email is probably easiest, so my email address is crafthousemagik@gmail.com. If you send me an email with your address and some suggestions of what you'd like as a prize, I'll get that prize to you as soon as possible. So thank you so much for entering, everybody. I will be having another giveaway very soon because I'm very close to hitting 10,000 subscribers, so I'm going to have an even bigger prize for that. So make sure you watch out for the episode where I hit 10,000 subscribers, if I do. I'm not too far away, so I'm sure I'll manage it somehow. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so that I hit 10,000 quicker and I'll be able to do a giveaway sooner. So that's all the waffling done with. Let's get on with the good stuff, knitting. First of all, I've got a finished object. Ta-da! So this is my Right Around the Corner shawl, and I finished it off a couple of days ago and I've blocked it, and oh, it's so lovely and drapey. Really pleased with it. And I've put some tassels on, but I'm not sure whether my tassels are a bit too tiny. Tiny tassel shawl, because the original one had larger ones, but I've used a tassel gadget, which I shall show you in a minute. So they're restricted to, this was the biggest size that the tassel comes up to. But I am pleased with it. I think it goes around my neck really nicely. It looks nice on, if you know what I mean. Some shawls, it's difficult to know how to wear them, but this one, I think it looks really nice, just how it is, nice and simple. And I shall take it off and show you. So this is a triangular shawl, and it is called the Right Around the Corner shawl, and the pattern is by Lisa Haynes, and it's absolutely gorgeous pattern. So make sure you stick to how much yarn it tells you to use in this centre panel, because I went slightly over and I was very short. In fact, I ran out of the pink yarn because I went over, because I'm very naughty. So there we go. I'm really pleased with that, apart from I'm not sure whether I need bigger tassels. What do you think? Do you think I should make some bigger tassels there? So I'll pop it back on. It's a little bit chilly. Very tempted to knit another one, although I have a lot of projects on the needles anyway. But I think that this is a really nice palette cleanser actually, because it's not difficult to concentrate on. and it's just a nice knit. It just spurs you on to keep going. So the yarn that I'm using is 2 yarns that I've dyed myself. This grey speckledy tonal is Here Comes the Rain Again, and this pinky colour with the grey speckles on is You Can't Hurry Love, and they're on my Stellina base because I do love a bit of sparkle. So there we go. Right, I'm going to link in now to my gadget, because this is the gadget I used to make my tassels. So I had this for Christmas, and it's a clover gadget to make tassels with. And it says that you can make 3 sizes of tassel. It can be 3 centimetres, 4 centimetres or 5 centimetres. And you can unscrew these 2 screws there. If I can unscrew it enough, I'll be able to show you. There we go. So that's the biggest size. And you basically just wrap your yarn around all the way around there. And I did mine 50 times and then tied it in the middle, and it allows you, actually there's some little bits at the side there to attach your yarn to when you start, so that it's secured. Just makes it slightly easier. And the other thing that makes it easier to make a tassel is that it's got a groove at the top, so you can get your scissors in once you've finished wrapping and you've tied it in the middle. I don't know whether I'd necessarily purchase this. I did have it on my Amazon wishlist, so I did want to try it out. But I think you can actually get very similar results if you just wrapped it around some cardboard, really. But it was fun. So if you made yourself a little cardboard frame, it would have the same sort of function. But I always like a gadget, so I'm sure I'll use it again in the future. But also you are restricted to the sizes that you can use. If you were using cardboard, you could just cut out a new piece of cardboard to make a new one. But I think I'll use it. It's just not as... it's not a necessity. So that's my gadget for this week, linked into my knitting section. But I do have a tiny bit of more knitting to show you, because basically I did spend most of the week knitting on this to get it finished, because I wanted to get it finished by the end of January so that I could tick it off my list, because I put the Right Around the Corner shawl needs to be finished in January in my little diary thing that I've been doing. So I actually achieved my target. That's the idea anyway. So I have also done a little bit of work on my Adventina shawl, and it's this gorgeous purple at the top there, with little bits of brown, which I thought blended well with this sort of brown at the top there, and I'm going to blend into a purpley brown and then another more purple yarn. But it is quite a fun pattern, this. Again, I said on previous podcasts that I am actually deviating from the pattern slightly, in that I am sticking to all the plain knitting rather than having to do lace bits, because I think I don't want to do any lace. I'm enjoying doing the garter stitch on this, so it's the focus of the pattern is the V shapes, and I think that that's looking pretty good so far. I'm very excited because the blue and greens are coming up next in the order that I've planned to knit them in, so very excited. So the Adventina shawl is a pattern by Catherine Schubert, and I decided to use all my Advent minis from last year to pop it into a project. So most of this is a beautiful Advent that's naturally dyed by Fee from Flourish Fibres. All the plain ones are, and then I've popped in some sort of tone, I've popped in some speckle ones in there as well, just to give it a bit of interest. But there we go. Oh, I forgot to say actually, this one is a Fine Fish Yarns yarn that I picked up from one of the Fibre East festivals, I think. So that's all my knitting for today, but I do have some sewing to show you. So, Barbara, would you like to come in and show us? So thank you very much, Barbara. So Barbara is wearing my Tobin sweater that I made over the weekend. So this is one of my Make 9, so I'm really pleased that I've already made one of my Make 9 sewing lists. Or dressmaking lists, I should say, because I have a separate sewing list. The Tobin sweater is a pattern by Cashmerette, and there are 3 neckline options. There's this neck, and then there's like a drapey cowl sort of neck, and then there's a plain one which is just facing. I chose this neck because I thought that this was a really lovely shape. hopefully you can actually see. I should make Barbara a little bit shorter so that you can see her neck a little bit better. There we go. So she has got some gorgeous buttons out of my button stash on the collar piece, which I'm glad to have used. I'm still umming and ahhing whether I like this pink with it. It needed to be very slightly more dusky rather than a sort of pink. Maybe I'll fall in love with it more later, we'll see. But this collar bit is really warm. I like how it fits, and it was really easy to be able to use the contrast fabrics because there were separate pieces for it. I didn't have to sort of work out where those were because it's part of the pattern. It's got some darts in it. My darts don't look particularly good because Barbara's not quite as busty as I am. So I sort of graded out the same sizes in the pattern as I normally do for a cashmerette. So for again, it's American sizes, so they are slightly different to the UK ones, but you normally do a size 16 on the shoulders, then I grade it out to a size 18 just under the arm, and then I grade that out to a 20 round the waist just because I like it to be slightly baggier. But I did notice once I finished it, it has got quite a lot of room in it, so I could have got away with doing an 18 all the way down, could have even gone smaller maybe, but I liked how it fits, so that's all that matters. So the arms actually are supposed to have quite a long cuff and have a full sleeve, but I'm not one for massive full sleeves really, so I thought I'd go and actually change this into a 3/4 length sleeve. So I sort of measured up my arm and I decided to take up a hem of 1.5 inches and put some buttons on there because you need buttons, don't you? Everyone needs a button. The original pattern had a cuff on, and on the cuff the buttons were, but I thought I'd just pop them on there, and I think that ties nicely with the buttons that are on the collar bit just there. So the back is the same, it's got panel pieces. And I did take the hem up at the bottom 1.5 inches because it was quite long on me. I am quite a short person though, so if you were taller it would probably be just about right for you. So I'm 5'3", I'd say, and I took it up 1.5 inches and I like the length there. But I do actually quite like my tops quite long anyway, so it must have been really quite long on me. So there we are. The fabric that I'm using for these, or the fabric that I've used for these, is from a shop called Watson and Thornton in Shrewsbury, and I'm afraid it was quite a while ago, so I doubt if there'll be any left. There certainly won't be any of this left because I bought it as a tiny little remnant. There was about 45 centimetres wide, so there was just enough to make the collar and these top pieces, so it was handy that I found this pattern really so I could use it. Again, this fabric was from the same shop, but it was from a bulk. There was some left, but this was some time ago, so they might not have any. This is sort of a double knit or Ponte Roma weight of jersey, and this is more like a stretchy sweatshirt material, which it is actually a bit thicker than this bottom fabric, but I think I tend to sort of get cold around my neck anyway. I certainly don't need to wear a shawl with it because it's really warm around the neck. But there we are. Thank you very much, Barbara. So I actually did cut out another 4 tops. If you saw on my Instagram stories, you'll have seen that I had cut them out. I have actually sewn most of them, but I haven't hemmed them. I'm going to save those until next week for you, because I've pinned all the hems up and it's just going to be a mess if I try and show you them now. So next week there'll be 4 tops to show you, but it's only made up from 2 different patterns, but I shall show you those next week. So I thought I would link in something that I'd made in the past. So my blast from the past section is next. So that Tobin sweater pattern really reminded me of Star Trek. And because some of the Next Generation uniforms had got a different bit at the top to the bottom of the top, and I remembered that I'd made Adam a top for Star Trek because he's very into Star Trek, and we have been to a few conventions, so I'd made this top for him, and it's actually zip up at the front, so it's more like a sort of cardigan, I suppose. But I drafted this when I first started sort of getting back into dressmaking a few years ago, and I drafted it from a t-shirt, which is a bit weird because that's what he'd got. He hadn't got anything like a cardigan shaped thing, and then I just made it slightly bigger so that it'd be more like a top to go over something. and we couldn't find a top that had a little bit of a collar on it to match. So at the time I was looking to see if I could find some fabric to make a little high necked, it's not really a cowl, I can't think what it's called, but a top with a small neck on it. So actually I ended up buying a t-shirt from Primark, which was the perfect colour. So it actually looks a little bit more blue on camera, I think. Oh, maybe not, it's just my eyes. So I actually made this t-shirt into a cowl top by cutting a bit off the bottom and putting it around the neck. So I adjusted it for him. It was actually a lady's t-shirt that I cut up, but I made it into more like a man's t-shirt underneath. You can see where I've overlocked the back edge there. But he was pleased with it. I should have got his badge out so that you could see what it looks like. But this is made out of a sort of double knit fabric again, quite thick. And he's worn it to a couple of the Star Trek conventions, which he's going to kill me, but I'm going to try and see if I can find a picture of him wearing it. So there we go, that is my blast from the past for this week. I'm going to try and do one sort of every month. That's my January, so hopefully I'll find something else from ages ago to show you for February as well. So now I have a small bit of confessions. To be honest, it's not proper confessions because it's a lovely gift from my friend Kelly, and she'd sent me this book. This book is so cool. I think it's just been released, and I'd actually put it in my Amazon wish list for later, and then Kelly sent it to me. How cool is that? There are so many lovely patterns in this. I'm really surprised actually of how many I'd like to knit. So I've put little bookmarks in to show you how organised is that. So there's Hedwig, like a cushion, gorgeous. I'm just going to show you a few. To be honest, every single one is quite interesting, but I've picked a few to show you. Obviously you've got the normal Weasley jumper, and you can choose which letter you have on the front of there as well. And the normal scarf, isn't that cool? Adam wants one of these scarves. I think it's actually in thicker yarn, it's in Aran weight, so it wouldn't take that long. Maybe I will make one for him. And this really cool other type of scarf, which has got Harry Potter related things on as well. I thought that was really lovely. Platform 9 3/4 and the night bus and things. And then look at these socks. Love those. The little checkered effect. I need to make myself some Gryffindor ones, I think. Oh, these are gorgeous. In it they say Expecto Patronum on some mittens. Aren't they beautiful? So there's not only sort of things that are very, very Harry Potter, but more subtle things as well. And I'm a big fan of this buckbeak pullover. Isn't that lovely? Really like that. That colour work around the body is just really lovely. I think that's going to have to go on my list at some point. I don't think I'll make this, but I just thought that this was really cool. It's a little Beauxbatons, little shawly type cape thing. Very cool indeed. And then I'm just going to show you this last one, but there are loads more. There's a beautiful little mobile with Harry Potter things on. How cool is that? Thank you, Kelly. So that is going to have, to be honest, this is the type of thing that you'd have on your coffee table to have a flick through, because there's so much to look in each time you have a flick through of it. Love it. So that's my confessions for this week. So just my shop update now. So I've restocked the numbered progress keepers that I had in my shop before. So they're all restocked nicely, and you can choose whether you want the lever back clasp or the lobster clasp as well. I have a new colourway in the shop, and this is just a very pale green. So because it's green, I thought I'd have a bit of a tenuous link to Green Day and call it Basket Case, because in the 90s that was one of my favourite songs. So that's in the shop now, and you can choose whichever base you'd like as well. So I've reorganised the listings so that each of the colourways is like a listing separate, and you can then go to the down bar and choose which base you want it on. So you can have it on any of the bases that are listed. So it'll start at the top. Hopefully I'll be able to put a picture up here. And it's like laced weight at the top. So I'm trying to work down from the thinnest to the thickest in the list so that it's easy to find. And all the listings are starting with the yarn weight, then what the yarn is made of, and then how many grams. So start with, it'll be 4-ply and it'll be like merino, and then I actually stock 100 grams, 50 grams and 20 grams, and if there is a sock set option they'll be listed as well. And I have that for Stellina and BFL, and then it goes through to MCN, singles, DK, which I now offer merino and BFL bases, and Aran bases with BFL and merino options as well. So, and then I have a separate page where it'll give you more information on each of the bases, tells you what they're appropriate for, how many plies in the yarn and things like that really. And if you have any questions, just drop me a message and I'll do my best to answer it. So before, the sort of minis for all the colours were listed as a separate listing called custom minis, which I think was confusing people. So within the colourway that you've clicked on, you can choose whatever base, and you can choose minis, as many as you like really. So you can actually pick your own mini set if you want to, of all the different colours, rather than having full skeins. So I tend to dye a lot to order, so sometimes it may take up to a week if I'm really busy, but I normally try and get those out within a few days. So I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you next week. Bye!